I unfortunately am a person that is not very emotional. I try to learn, I try to improve, really trying to share my story in an impactful way. I thought it was my responsibility to help change stories like mine from happening. I believe that higher education was the only way for me to end the cycle in my family for generations of incarceration and pain. Hi, my name is Jonathan Wren, a recent graduate of the Justice Through Code program at Columbia University, and this is my story. Due to my parents' struggles with addiction, I was born dependent on opioids and suffered painful withdrawals as a newborn. I was put up for adoption, did not know my biological parents, though I later discovered they were incarcerated as a result of their drug use. The circumstances of my birth severely impacted the way I viewed myself growing up. With the belief that my own parents didn't want me, I never felt like I was enough. This led to a persistent struggle with low self-esteem, which made me more susceptible to suffer from mental illness, incarceration, and abuse. My adoptive mother raised me with only the help of her parents. She was a nurse full-time, but unfortunately really struggled to make ends meet. And my grandparents were a huge part of my life. They raised me probably equally as much as my mom. They had me a lot on the weekends when my mom was working late. And unfortunately, I had a lot of behavioral issues growing up. I was kicked out of many elementary schools, many preschools, and these issues continued later on into life. In my freshman year of high school, my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and this was probably the hardest thing I'd ever experienced because me and my mother were inseparable, and she was the only parent I'd ever known. She raised me, she loved me, she cared for me, she made sure I had all the things I ever needed. So this really led to a downward spiral in my life, to a lifestyle fueled by drugs and crime and alcohol. All the things I was doing, essentially just trying to escape my reality and really get my mind off the fact that my mother would unfortunately be passing soon. At the age of 18, I was facing a very long prison sentence and thought my life was over before it even started. And this was a really hard struggle for me, especially because my mother had been given 6 months to live right around the same time as I had been incarcerated. And not even a few weeks into my sentence, my grandmother's cancer also returned and spread to most of her internal organs, and we knew it was only a matter of time before she passed away. This is probably one of the most transformative moments of my life, when I really was impacted by my grandmother's passing and knew that this was another catalyst for me to change. So I really began to reflect on all the things I'd done to lead me to my incarceration, all the things on myself I needed to fix, all the mindsets, values, and negative things I needed to let go by the wayside. So I really began to work on myself and try to become a better person so that when I was released, I could really be there for my family and really change my life. I had a lot of time to reflect. I spent a lot of time in solitary confinement, and luckily during this time I really let myself dream and think of things I would do if none of the external factors in my life mattered, like for instance being poor and thinking I wasn't able to go to college because I wasn't smart enough or I didn't have enough money. So, I really thought I would like to start an organization for kids like myself and help provide them the resources I didn't have, like mental health resources, mentoring, tutoring, and all other things they would need to make them successful, because I thought if I was released that it was almost my responsibility to help change stories like mine from happening. When I was released in 2020, right before COVID, I intended to keep my promise to my grandmother, so I enrolled full-time in community college and began working to support myself financially and help my mother, as she was just been released from the hospital and doing a little bit better. So when I enrolled full-time in community college, I did very well and performed at the top of my class and earned awards and scholarships and achieved a near 4.0 GPA with dual majors, and work also went well. I went from a tire technician, which was a manual labor technician, to eventually working up to operations manager in a pretty quick amount of time. And for once in my life, things were finally looking bright and I was working hard. Justice Through Code at Columbia University is a program for formerly incarcerated individuals who go through a coding boot camp to learn how to computer program. And this really piqued my interest because I was always interested in technology and coding, and I thought it would be one of the most challenging things I had ever done. And I thought that if I could learn how to code and do something I saw as this difficult, that I really could do anything I put my mind to, no matter how difficult it was. I believe that higher education was the only way for me to end the cycle in my family for generations of incarceration and pain. I thought it could really help pull myself out of poverty and help me really achieve things and live a happy, healthy, successful life. I applied to Columbia University's undergraduate program as a transfer. Really wasn't sure what to expect. Never really navigated higher education as a first generation student. Honestly, when I was released, I didn't know what an Ivy League institution was, so it was very shocking to me to learn that because of my GPA and my extracurriculars and things like that, that I could attend a university like that. Because, you know, my belief when I was going through community college was that because I was formerly incarcerated, that no great school would want me. You know, still that not a lot of self-confidence, really didn't view myself in a positive light, but through a lot of the accomplishments like completing Justice Through Code and doing really well in community college and looking to be able to transfer to a school like Columbia University, it was really empowering to me and really helped me see myself in a positive light. During my time at Justice Through Code at Columbia University, I met a lot of great professors and students and faculty. And I really fell in love with the university and was really interested by its prestige and its rigor of its coursework, and thought that if I could ever get into a school like this, that it would change my life and just make myself and my grandmother and my mother so happy. So I really set my eyes on it to be the school I transferred to for my undergrad program, and I worked really hard on the application, had a lot of help from mentors and things like that, revising it, and really trying to share my story in an impactful way. And luckily, because a lot of my extracurricular achievements and my achievements academically through school, I was accepted into Columbia University and will start in the fall of this year studying computer science and just building all the things I learned during Justice Through Code, and then also working towards learning the relevant skills I need to start my own nonprofit to help at-risk youth. I never would imagine that only 3 years after incarceration, after such a long and crazy life where I experienced so much loss and so much pain, that I'd be as happy as I am today and just going to one of the best schools in the world, and also working for a startup that helps other formerly incarcerated people find jobs, and just really living a happy, healthy life that I can really be proud of, and really be able to know that I'm making my mother and grandparents proud, while also hoping to inspire others to transform their life and pursue things like I did, and make those pathways even easier to walk through.